Assalamualaikum Brother Is.
Salam warahmatullah. Brother Zakwan. Macam mana, okey kita
Okay, Alhamdulillah.
Itulah saya sebenarnya ada 2 meeting petang ni. Pukul 2.30 ni lah. Itulah kalau boleh kita itulah. Lepas ada macam mana? Lepas presentation tu ada question and answer terus Ke macam mana? Ke kat ujung?
Dia biasanya question and answer terus, Q&A terus.
Okey.
Cepat sikit.
Sabarlah, kita cubalah tengok. Dia nampak kan Zakwan kan?
Nampak.
Okey.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Zakwan boleh dengar Zakwan ni?
Boleh.
Boleh kan? Alright.
Jadi ada contolan sikit lah. Kat ni kata the Q&A tu at the end of the session.
Tak apalah, it's okay. At the end tak apa. It's okay. Tapi dia boleh je chat kat toolbox. Kalau saya tak boleh jawab, ada kawan-kawan saya boleh jawab lah kot. Nanti saya minta kawan-kawan yang lain backup lah.
Brother Is first kan?
Itulah.
All the best.
InsyaAllah. Itulah dia pasal dia nak kejar, ada dua meeting ni, 2.30 ni. Aduh, tak apalah. Clash pula. Ada kat pejabat ni.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let us continue our session today with the recitation of Furqan Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillah, now we are going to start the presentation this evening. Before we start, there's a friendly reminder to all presenters. You are given 10 minutes for your presentation. Kindly do observe the time given to ensure the smooth running of today's event. And to all participants, you are welcome to ask questions with regard to each of the presentation at the end of the session, or you can post them in the Zoom chat box. So without further ado, I would like to invite our first presenter for today, his brother Izdiha Ishaq from Department of Physics, CFS IIUM, to present his study on Islamization of Physics imbued with Self. Please welcome.
Thank you, Brother Zakwan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi sahri sadri wa yassirli amri wa hlul min lisani yafqahu qawli. Brother Zakwan, can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
Okay. That's right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Brother Zakwan, Brother Rafi'i, and all the organizing committee lah. I think it's high time that we have this workshop. I think it's very good. I'd like to congratulate all the committees. They are working hard on it. And I think Islamization is very important. Very important, especially in IUM and CFS in the whole. So today, of course, I have given only 10 minutes. So not much I can say in 10 minutes. So Islamization. So today I will talk about Islamization of physics imbued with self. So Alhamdulillah, in the morning session, we have Dr. Nur Jannah already explained a lot. Actually, what I'm doing is very in line what she is doing. Okay, Dr. Badri and Dr. Abdul Razak. So when I hear their talk in the morning, I was very happy because it's already in line with their aspiration. So because I'm worried that we are sidetracked and so on. Okay, I like also to thank Prof. Faris, Dr. Zuraida, Dr. Salah. I like to acknowledge them. Madam Halina, Madam Naima, Madam Sister Habibah, Sister Farida, and all the staff in physics department, because this is a collaborative effort actually. In 2015, we have several workshops to do Islamization on physics. Okay, next we look at the website. So for today, I will be talking about Islamization of physics in the context of sejahtera. So technically, what we want to produce basically is insan soleh. I agree with Dr. Jannah mentioned just now. Actually, it's CFS level. I don't know, maybe Brother Rafi'i also will agree with me. At CFL level, it's not that only that we want to teach the student so that the student pass in the exam. It's not only that, no. We want the student to become insan soleh. That is the ultimate goal, actually. That's why, actually, when some student always ask me, will the student cheat or not? I will say that the student will not cheat because we teach them to be insan soleh. So these are the things that it should be imbued in the education. We should trust our student. We should train them. So that's the thing. So I agree with the panel just now, and Nur Jannah, Dr. Badri, our old friend, and Ustaz Abdul Razak. I really agree. The syllabus, they don't know how it's there. And basically, a well-balanced person. What is insan sejahtera? Well-balanced person in soul and in heart. In heart. That is very important. In heart. Okay. So I will like to highlight the enrich tool. Okay. If you remember just now in the morning, Dr. Nur Jannah used a funnel because she is a chemist. Funnel, there is a filter paper inside. I used to do that during my master's and PhD research. So what happened then? In physics, we are using tools. These tools are developed together with engineering department. So I like to congratulate them, especially Dr. Salah and the team over there. We have the enrich tools. I like to highlight that. And then another tools that we are using is Islamic learning tools. And these are the two tools that we are going to explain. And then we have the DFS box. DFS box stands for Zikir, Fikir, and Syukur box. This is the output that we are going to do. So I think you all is aware. We have the Sejahtera Academic Framework. Actually, I like to highlight to everybody and also to all the HODs. Actually, we should imbue all our course outline with this Sejahtera Academic Framework. Actually, that's why I think it's high time that we have looked back at our syllabus, especially if you look at the core there. The core basically is the triple I's, the Islamization. like has been mentioned. And then this has been mentioned also by Dr. Jannah, so I will not to highlight. And then at the core then, humanizing education. And that is what we want to produce. We want to humanize the education. We don't want to produce only robots and graduates, robots. No, we want to produce insan soleh. That is the ultimate goal there. And so everybody must work. We have the FKP, we have the Makasid Syariah there, and then we have the SDG. And for example, in physics, we also teach the student to appreciate the environment. For example, let's say we learn about nuclear and radiation. You know that radiation, we can create atomic bomb, destruction, but radiation also, they are what we call things that we can use, for example, in medical field, and that is beneficial for the humankind. So these are the things that we teach the student. Because with knowledge, we have power, but then we need to teach the student how to use it properly. That is the thing. Islamization is all about. Okay, Islamization, okay, the first one is accepting. And when it is in conformity, we accept, we do accept. Rejecting, when there is a contradiction, we need to interject. Teaching of Islam. And then these are the things that we are doing. We show you some examples. Okay, I give you one example. I think you know this very famous scientist. I am really inspired by Stephen Hawking. I think you know the story of Stephen Hawking. He was paralyzed, his whole body, but his mind is very great. Stephen Hawking says that there is no God. If you look at from physics, from West's point of view, they say that the law of physics can run by itself. And that's why, if you look in physics book, I agree. This has been mentioned by Dr. Nur Jannah and also have been mentioned by Dr. Abdul Razak. There is no relation with God. There is no relation with God. Okay, so that's why, and when we teach student physics, especially me, when I teach student physics, I relate them, always relate them. Physics is about knowing Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Because that is the ultimate goal. Basically, when we learn something, we want to know Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Okay, so in IUM, I always stress that physics is the study about the law of the physical universe. Okay, for example, I think Dr. Badri gave analogy just now. Let's say this video session. How do we have the video session? Okay, if you look, when I speak here, I'm speaking to the mic, and there is a vibration there, and there is in physics too. Sister Habibah will explain after this. And then the vibration will be transmitted into the electrons. All these are physics. The electron will go into the internet and the World Wide Web, and then will be transferred through the photons. There's also physics. It means that all the law of the universe can be explained by physics. That's why. But we need to relate that created by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. The law is created by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Because in physics, from the West point of view, the law can stand by itself. And they say that the force of nature, and the nature created by itself. So this is where we want to contradict. We want to teach the student all this law is created by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. So, okay, so in physics, now I don't want to dwell on the physics. This one is for the physicists. Okay, physics, normally, no, I remember my conversation with Prof. Taullah the other day. He says that what is physics? Physics is about force. It's about force. It's just about force. If you look at your body, basically you think that it is physical. Basically, it's just about force. And that's why if you look at Thanos, it can split the mind and then everything can disappear. Basically, it's just about a force. If you look at the atom, we have the weak nuclear force, and then we have the strong nuclear force. And inside the atom, we have the nucleon and so on. And then if you look at the string theory, it says that everything is just vibrating with energy. So everything that you see basically is just about force. So the law can be unified. And so this is the grand unified theory that is mentioned by the West. Okay, these are the physics, the physics world, like I mentioned just now. Everything that you see in front of you can be explained by physics. Can be explained by physics. For example, I switch on the light. I can explain anything that is happening inside the bulb. What is happening to the atom, how the atom become excited, and then how do you get the light, and then how do you get the voltage and so on, so sound and so on. And so this is the world of physics. But we need to relate that with Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, the creator of the world. So this is our role there. Our role. Okay, another great scientist. I think you all know. I love this professor. I don't know. I always follow his lecture. Michio Kaku. I don't know whether Brother Zakwan know him or not. He is the author of the God equation. The God equation. He is a specialist in string theory. And basically that is his field in quantum mechanics. It's Prof. Taullah also in quantum mechanics, but he specialized in string theory that I mentioned just now. Everything basically is vibrating. The quartz based on is vibrating. So come to that. He says that the God speak to the world through this equation. So the question is, where are the Muslim scientists? No, the other day I asked a few Muslim scientists. They say we are not at that field. So these are the challenges. People at the West are trying to seek the truth. They are trying to seek the truth. So that's why the Muslim have to go in. We have to be like the tagline of IM, leading the way. IUM should be leading the way. We should be telling that there is the sign of God and the God's equation and the string theory. Okay, I like to highlight to you a Muslim scientist. He is the first Muslim scientist who get a Nobel Prize in physics. I think the only one until today, unfortunately. We hope that maybe the next Nobel laureate is coming from IUM graduate. InsyaAllah. Amin. Ya Rabbal Alamin. Okay, Prof. Abdul Salam. Okay. He basically lies the foundation of what Mr. Okaku is mentioned just now, of the string theory. And he predicted the existence of the Higgs boson. I don't know whether Brother Rafi have heard about the Higgs boson. Higgs boson is called the God particle. It's called, what is God particle? In Al-Quran it's mentioned, initially all the mass is once, but then there is an explosion, a rotcan, so everything split. So that explosion, the initial explosion create what we call the God particle. The West is looking at that. Is the particle exist? And they found it. And they found it in 1979. Okay. The Higgs boson. That what is called the God particle. So these are a few scientists. Actually, there are many Muslim scientists. I don't know whether I still contacted with Prof. Tola last week. I tell him that I'm presenting about this. I want him to give me some ideas. Actually, he's writing a lot. If you follow his Facebook, he's writing a lot about Islamization. The other day, he's trying to find the relation of mathematics with the motion of the beast. And then he predicted that. He predicted that the Muslim will win next year. So these are some of his prediction. I call it his prophecy. So it's very interesting to talk to Prof. Tola. Okay, another great scientist, Prof. Kalbi Razi, is a Muslim. He's explained about the reaction, kinetic motion. So these are some of a few Muslim scientists, the God particle that I mentioned just now. So these are the things that is, for me, is very exciting in physics world. No, we should be the leader to explain all this. Okay, so in Islamization in physics, okay, I'm like running out of time. So these are the three tools that we have: the enriched tools, the Islamic learning tools, and the DFS tool. So these two have been developed. So what is this enriched tool? If you remember just now, Dr. Nurjana used a funnel, and that has 3 stages. We have 5 stages, but then I put another one, that is the Sejahtera framework. So that's why enrich, the S is I put there. Okay, so enrich is what? Eliminate. Anything that contradict, we eliminate. Okay, we need to nourish it. Readapt. Okay, some of the formula we need to readapt. And then infuse, like we call Dr. Nurjana use that concept also, infuse. And then some we need to create. For example, the DFS board, we create a new concept there. And then the last S is what we call the Sejahtera framework. All these must fit into the Sejahtera framework. So this is our tools. We call it enrich. As I just put. I hope Sister Halina don't mind. So this is what I have been thinking. The new edition, the S there. Okay, there's SDG, I think everybody knows. So these are the things that we need to tell the student, for example, our world now, the climate change. I think US is spearheading the climate change. Basically, I don't know whether you follow or not the G7 and the conference. I follow the G7 conference. The Biden is over there. All the great leaders are over there. So they are discussing about the climate change. They are discussing about the COVID-19 and so on and so forth. So the question is, where is the Muslim world? So these are the things. So these are the enriched tool checkbox. So we have these tools. Okay, for example, they eliminate. Okay, and these are the chapters. So we map this chapter with the toolbox. So, for example, is the concept eliminate or not? And what is the content? Is it Tawhidic approach? Is it okay or not? We can also imbue with Asma'ul Husna. Because in Asmaul Husna, we have so many names of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala that can fit into our studies basically. And then the verses of hadith, I will show you after this. Here's some verses of hadith. And then readapt. For example, rename. Some of the formula we can rename. Well, we can replace if possible. And then history. There are a lot of history after this I can show you that we can imbue in the physics studies, infuse and so on. So these are some of the things, some of the things that we can put into. And then we can, the last one is create the DFS, DK, FK, ZK box. And then the new thing that I propose here is to infuse the Kabu, the Kab, and the Adab. This is for me is very important, especially our students. Some of them they are like they're lacking about Adab. So these are the Islamic learning tools. I will go fast on this because my time is running up. Okay, Al-Quran and Hadith, name of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, and then DS box, FK, ZK, and Syukur. We need to think. We need to make zikir to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, and the last one we need to make syukur to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. So zikir is about remembering Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, and then we need to think. And then the last one is the name of Asmaul Husna. There are 100 names there we can imbue in our teaching, teaching and learning. And then the question of how, for example, creation, the creation, Allah created. We can relate it to Al-Khaliq. And this is one example. So we have so many names in Asmaul Husna that we can relate to. Okay. And then we need to be syukur to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Although, for example, our country is still plundered by COVID-19, Alhamdulillah, we can still have this online session. Okay, so these are the things that we are doing. Okay, we relate to Muslim scholars, so many Muslim scholars. Okay, for example, Ibn Musa. Okay, we have, for example, this ayat Quran. Okay, those who knew equal to those who do not knew. For me, this inspire the Muslim to seek knowledge. I think. Okay.
1 minute.
All right. Okay. 1 minute. Last minute. Okay. So these are some of the Muslim scientists. For example, Al-Biruni. Okay. Actually, Al-Biruni, for your information, brothers and sisters, basically Al-Biruni study about motion. He study about circular motion, study about the planet and so on. So Abu Barakat Al-Baghdadi argue that velocity and acceleration are two different things. If you look, Abu Barakat and Ibn Bajjah already have been discussing about motion. That's why Newton discovered it in 16th century. Later after them, they discovered in 1048. So these are what I like to highlight. And Al-Jazari is the father of the modern robotics. And then, okay, ayat Quran, so many ayat Quran, everything are made pairs. And glory to Allah who created pairs in all things. If you have proton, you have antiproton. If you have electron, you have positron. Everything are in pairs. Okay, and these are the pairs projection, electron and positron. And then that's now, and Dr. Abdul Razak mentioned about this. And the motion of the planets is all in the Al-Quran, all in the Al-Quran. Okay, so all these verses about iron, for example, iron. We found that iron with its great inherent strength and many benefit of mankind. Iron can become, for example, magnetic field. It can be a weapon. It can be so many things. It can be a machine. It's up to you. Allah mentioned this in Al-Quran. And then mathematics, Ibn Batani, Al-Khawarizmi, Al-Haytham in optics. So all this, science without religion is lame. Religion without science is biased. And finally, Brother Zakwan, we also make a survey. I make a survey. So whether the student understand or not on Islamization. And 68.4% of the students totally agreed they can relate physics with Islam. So Alhamdulillah, I make a survey actually before the class end. So Alhamdulillah, the student understand the concept of Islamization in physics. All the science prove the existence of Allah as the creator of the world. I think that's all, Brother Zakwan. Actually, if I have more time, actually, I want to explain more. But then, since the time is running short, but what I can say is, we can Islamize physics. We can Islamize. And then we have been doing it. And that's why I've been telling our department, we need to continue the work. We need to continue. We need to start somewhere. At least we can use it as a guideline for teaching the student. Wallahu alam. We can use the existing textbook, but then we can use that as a supplement for the existing syllabus. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Brother Zakwan, Brother Rafi'i, and the committees.
Right, thank you and Jazakallah khair, Brother Izdihar Ishaq, for your insightful presentation. Right now, I would like to call upon Brother Muhammad Rafi'i, Muhammad Basri from Department of AED present his study on overview of IOHK implementation in AED curriculum. Dr. Muhammad Rafi, the screen is yours.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mr. MC, Brother Rahman. And thank you very much, Brother Ishaq, for a very energetic and very informative presentation just now on physics. So basically, here I will be presenting on CFS on the overview of the implementation of IOHK in AED curriculum. Okay. As it is a bit contradictory to Brother Izihar approach, my presentation will be quite general before it will be presented in details by two of our staff later on. Okay, so basically the presentation, the agenda of presentation will be these four parts. Number one, on the overview of AED itself, AED in CFS IUM, followed by the curriculum, the component and structure of our curriculum, IOHK practice, as well as the conclusion, okay, which is basically talk about the challenges that we are facing right now in implementing IOHK in our curriculum. Okay, overview of AED CFS at a glance. Okay, so basically our department was established in May 1997. Inshallah by next year will be our 25th anniversary. Okay, the department functioned as a preparatory platform for undergraduate student to cut 8. And these are the three objectives for the department: to offer the architecture and volunteer design component, design program, courses for students of architecture and volunteer design, to provide the student with the fundamental architecture and volunteer design, knowledge and skill which are required by undergraduate studies at Kuliah level, and as well as to introduce the Islamisation of human knowledge in architecture and volunteer design program. Okay. Okay, the curriculum of our program. So basically, these are the curriculum. We have the languages, center required courses, and we offer 8 core courses by our department. So basically, we have graphic communication and introduction to design, which is a studio subject, and then we have 3 quantitative subjects, which is introduction to mathematics, statistics and economics, and we have 1 introduction to the environment on the theoretical, as well as the skill. We have presentation skills and freehand drawing skills. Okay, so the total of from these 8 core courses, then we try to imbue the elements of IOHK in almost all of the courses, directly or indirectly. So IOHK practice and the embodiment of IOHK in the curriculum itself. Okay, I divide it according to the courses. Okay, number 1. So basically on the introduction to mathematics for the environment. Okay, because when we talk about mathematics in IOHK, basically some would say that it is quite hard for them to imbue IOHK practices into the curriculum itself, or the curriculum of mathematics. So what we did is basically we introduced the Muslim scholars as according to the specific topic. So we talk about Al-Khwarizmi, Ibn Bajjah, for example, and all other Muslim scholars related to the particular topic. So before we start teaching them on the details of the courses or all of that particular topics, then we will introduce them to the Muslim scholars related to that particular specific topics. And instruction usually during lecture and tutorials and assessment, we have samples of assessment through assignment. For example, we require students to have a poster of Muslim scholars, at least for each of the topic, and then they can take inspiration from that. Okay, I would say that there is a quite minimal implementation of IOHK in that. At least we try to develop a sense of belongings or appreciation to the works of our Muslim scholars. And then next we have introduction to statistics. Okay, introduction to statistics basically on the content itself. Okay, we basically introduce on the Sirah of the Prophet and Sahabah in relation to statistics. I will show you the samples later on. So what are the stories during of the Prophet and the Sahabah that we can relate to the practice of statistics in our modern world. Okay, usually it is included in our lecture notes, for example, and there will be no assessment directly touching on that. Okay. Okay, later on, okay, we have introduction to economic for the environment. Okay, on the content wise, okay, we have the Islamic perspective on economic topics and issues. Okay, basically we have a specific course learning outcomes that tackles this issue on Islamic perspective of the economic topics and issues. Okay, and it is tested in our end of semester examination. Okay, and I would like to thank the assistant of Department of Economy and Management Sciences, which basically help us in developing the content on Islamic content of the course. Okay, moving forward. Okay, this is the sample of works and the implementation of IHK. Okay, this is on Introduction to Mathematics for the Environment. We asked them to do posters. Okay, this is poster done by two of the students. Number one on Ibn Khayyam and second one on Thabit Qura. Okay, and they have to do a poster on the contribution, history of Islamic mathematics, okay, the biography, and later on, and what on the reflection part, what they can learn from the scholars itself. Okay, next we have introduction to statistics for the environment. Okay, this is number one on the sampling topics. Basically, we imbued the stories of how the Prophet Muhammad SAW resolved the issue of returning Hajar Aswad to its place after it was desecrated due to the flood. Okay, this is some examples of sampling method being done during the time of the Prophet. Okay, second one, we have the on data collection methods on the experiments. Okay, the type of experiment being used or being explained in the hadith as well as the stories of the tabi'in and tabi'in. Okay, we had the hadith on the cross fertilization of date trees. On Al-Biruni basically conducted experiments on laws of gravity, momentum and motions, and Al-Razi in deciding on the place for him to build a new hospital in Baghdad. So these are some of the things that we can learn from the past, basically from our sirah as well as the Muslim scholars. Okay, sometimes the hadith or the story looks quite simple, but it gives a very strong meanings to the student. At least we can see the application of the knowledge or the ideas from the past. Okay. And for AED 0633, Introduction to Economics for the Environment, that will be explained by Brother Muhammad Zorif in our later presentation later. Okay, next on the theoretical skills and studio courses. Okay, for Introduction to the Environment, one of our theory courses on the environment. So we basically try to balance out between the worldly knowledge as well as the revealed knowledge, or the IHK, the IHK implementation in the course. In the content, we have the inclusion of Islamic values and perspective in almost all the topics presented in the course outline. Okay, we have a specific topic touching topics and subtopic for each of the contents within the curriculum, within the course outline itself. Okay, we have instruction through lectures, discussion, PBL, as well as site visit, and assessment on the end of semester examination, assignment, and project. I would say that in introduction to the environment, the implementation of IHK is quite comprehensive. Okay, later on, next we have the presentation skills. Okay, on presentation skill, basically we have specific topics on ethics and Islamic perspective, basically in relation to presentation skills. Okay, we introduce the elements of adab and akhlaq in delivering a presentation to the student. Okay, we have lectures and group discussion and assessment through assignments and presentation themselves, and they will be evaluated on the ethics of their presentation. Okay, for freehand drawing, graphic composition skills and introduction to design, basically the studio courses of AED, we basically try to imbue the Islamic related and Sharia compliant subject matters to the student. Or sometimes we even introduce something that is of Islamic arts as well as Islamic culture to the student as well. Okay, we try to relate the subject matter. For instance, they have to use some artworks. They have to produce some artworks, and the artwork has to be of a certain relation to Islamic culture or arts. For example, they do a kad raya. For example, kad raya will put simple, though it looks simple, but they have to study on the Islamic arts, the Islamic geometry, etc. for them to produce the works. And then the instruction through lectures and tutorials, and the assessment will be indirectly in the assignments and project, in implementation of adab during their presentation and their time punctuality, for example, and etc. For example, time, we have Surah Al-Asr in the Holy Quran mentioned about the essential or the significance of time in a human life. So whenever they submitted their works after the time limits, then we usually will penalize them to show or to train them to appreciate time wisely in their later projects.
Excuse me, Brother
Okay,
Rafi,
these
you
are
have-
the towards the end. Okay, and next, we have the sample of works and implementation. This is on presentation skill. Okay, week 3, for example, we have method of delivery and etiquette. We have ethics implementation and Islamic perspective. Okay, in introduction to design, okay, we have, for example, here, Eid Mubarak. This is a greeting cards or kad raya. Tema dia adalah kad hari raya. Okay, and then from that, they have to learn all the things about Islamic geometry and convert it into a 3D. And all these things basically is derived from the nature. They have to pick one subject matter from nature, study them in details, and convert it into geometry, and to have a 3D out of that. Okay, in conclusion, I would say that there are 3 challenges in implementing IHK. Number 1 is content and vision. Okay, because some of the contents of the course outline is too hectic for us to cover within the semester and the status of IHK itself. But now, before this, because some we can say that some of the course outline is really emphasizing on IHK. We can see it clearly within embedded within the course outline itself. But some is just, I would say none, but it's just a matter of supplementary or additional knowledge in the delivery of the courses. So the issues of content versus the mission and vision of IUM. The next is on the references. I know that just now, okay, Dr. Nurjanda has given us some references that we can use, we can refer to in relation to Islam and science. It's very good. And then we have the authority to teach, because some of the lecturers feels that they don't have the authority to teach their subject, especially when it is when the concept is quite deep into the religion, because they are not from that particular background. Okay, I would say that IHK is an ongoing process at AED, and inshallah we try to improve from time to time. Okay, with that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you and Jazakallah khair Brother Rafi Muhammad Basri for the informative presentation. So without further ado, let us welcome our next presenter, Sister Hadiza Hamzah from Department of Biology, to present a study on IUHK implementation in Biology 2 course.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Zakwan. I would like to share screen. Okay, sorry, yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you so much to Brother Izdiha as well as Brother Rafi for inspiring presentation. Hopefully I will get the energy from them, inshallah. All right, so I'm Sister Haliza from Biology Department. So I will present on the IOHK implementation in Biology 2 subject. All right, so this is the content of my presentation. And this is the course outline, right? So we need to glance through very fast because of limited time. All right, so the topics as well as the experiment. So when we learn bio, we learn Allah's creation. So the second part will be the PowerPoint slide. Okay, so this since this chapter 3 is related to heart, so I introduced the cock. When I asked the students said hati. So then to make it simple, so I told them that cock is a spiritual center and is synonym. It's not synonym with our heart. Only Allah knows the correlation between spiritual heart and the physical heart. So then I asked the student what happens to our spiritual heart when a person commits a sin. So they mentioned that they said that a black spot will be produced in our spiritual heart, and finally our spiritual heart will completely darken as we continue sinning. Then after that, I posted the question to them. So this is the question at the bottom. All right, what are the diseases of our related to sinning just now? What are the diseases of our spiritual heart? So then they mentioned like they answered lying, envy, again, not perform solat. Then I added cheating in exam too. Then after that, what are their remedies? What are their remedies? And so they mentioned the student mentioned about I simplify it as good do good deeds. Do good deeds, and I relate it with the surah lah, surah 13, surah 13 lah. In this surah, those who believe and whose heart find assurance and peace in the remembrance of Allah, for in remembrance of Allah, heart finds assurance. Relate with the remedies just now. Okay, then I said that so pray to Allah that with these practices, so inshallah the spiritual heart will be enlightened. So that's how we relate with the physical heart, relate it with the spiritual heart, the qalb. Okay, then the second, there's a lot actually in biology because it involves our bodies, right? That we can refer to the ayah into the verse in the Quran, to the surah verse in the Quran. All right, cocaine and drug addiction, and in chapter 5. This is chapter 5. So in this verse in this surah, surah Al-Ma'idah. So Allah mentioned that. So we relate with this surah lah, related to cocaine and drug abuse. So we read with Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah mentioned that Islam prohibits all type of intoxicants, including drugs, since the drugs, when abused, will prevent the person from remembering Allah and leads to harmful consequences, not only to individual, but also to the society. Okay, then in the next chapter, sexual reproduction in human. So we relate with this ayah, surah 76, Al-Ihsan. This surah mentioned about nutfah amshajin, so which means that drop of fluid. So according to Islamic commentators, they said that nutfah amshad is actually referring to the mixture of female and male gamete, male and female gamete, as well as the surrounding fluid. Okay, so then after that, so we also relate with surah 86. Surah 86 is surah 86 is surah An-Nahl. Sorry. And what is surah 86? Anyone? What is surah 86? Surah Tariq, if I'm not mistaken, which mention gushing water. Alright, so gushing water is water that move very fast. Okay, and also Surah 16, Surah An-Nahl. Right, the next chapter is related to reproduction, so which is the development. So in this development, so because the previous stage that mentioned in Quran is nutfah. All right. So this stage also mentioned in Quran, alaqah, the alaqah stage in the human development. So alaqah means leash-like clot. So which means that so then the fluid drop, the nutfah, we created a leash-like clot. So it's the blood clot that cling to the uterus. It looks like leech. So this is alaqah, followed by from alaqah then transform into mudghah. Same also in this surah, Surah Al-Mu'minun, mention everything, the transformation in the development process. So from mudghah then become the stage of bone and muscle. All right. So in immunology, because it's all related, biology related to our body. So it's related to vaccination. So I share with them the fatwa lah from National Fatwa Committee regarding vaccination as well as COVID-19 vaccination. I posted to them lah in the WhatsApp lah group. Then I asked them lah, is vaccine our last hope? So this one is actually taken from the talk on COVID-19 vaccination issue and responses, and one of the moderator is Prof. Abdul Razak. Alright, and the surah is the surah is surah number 3. Surah 3 surah Ali Imran, and surah 9 is surah At-Taubah. Surah At-Taubah. Alright, then so I asked the student, is vaccine our last hope? So then student, they said that no. Then I said why? Then they said that vaccination is just one of the ikhtiar. They say ikhtiar, one of the effort only. Alright, so our belief, our trust, yakin, iman only to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, not to the vaccine. Vaccine is one of the way to solve the problem, so we must support it. So we must adopt it. Okay, so that's all for for this chapter. Get a lot in the PowerPoint. So in immune also in Surah Al-A'raf, Surah Al-A'raf. So I also share with them. So when we recite Quran, not only recite but we pay attention to Quran. We recite and pay attention to Quran. Yeah.
You have 1 minute left for your presentation.
Okay. Alright. So jadi need to be very fast. Okay, tak apa. I actually want to emphasize on PowerPoint actually, because I would like to gain feedback from others kan, from Ustaz and Ustazah lah. That's the reason why I emphasize on this lah. Okay, and hopefully I get 1++ minute. Is it okay? 2 minutes ke? Boleh ke? Boleh? Dalam 2 minutes okay, thanks. Alright, so jadi when we listen to Quran, that you increase the brain becomes activated, more communication between the neuron, energy level increases, and the increase in the memory leads to tranquility and healing of diseases. Alright, so in this Islam and ecology, ni last ni PowerPoint ni last PowerPoint, lepas ni I will go very fast, so I just share only. Alright, so jadi Quran mentioned the special status. There are a lot of Quran here, so I would like to get feedback from Ustazah as well lah regarding this. We are special creation status ni of human. We are special status of human as God's Khalifah, Allah's Khalifah in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-An'am. Alright, so Al-An'am, resources given by Allah ni I mentioned to student. To be utilized as a divine trust to achieve the well-being not only in this world but also hereafter. So all resources must be used in accordance with His law and ethical principle. Right. So and I emphasize on the balance. I make it shortcut. Balance is in terms of mizan, in terms of in the world, in science from the worldview of Quran. Yeah, this book, Science in the Worldview of Quran means balance in terms of social, economic, environmental, moral, ethical, spiritual, that leads and also impact with the tauhidic. Yeah, impact with the tauhid will leads to the holistic and sustainability. Okay, so I think I proceed with practical biology. So during the first session before the lab, so we have the briefing, how to write the objective, because the students need to write the lab report. They need to write the objective of the experiment, and then finally end with tauhidic conclusion. All right, so this is how lah, yeah, to begin writing of the tauhidic objective and tauhidic conclusion. So we give example of tauhidic conclusion. Right, we give example of tauhidic conclusion here of how to write a tauhidic conclusion. Then this is a sample of students sample of student tauhidi objective and tauhidi conclusion to appreciate the importance of water towards all living things which created by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala Al-Khaliq, the creator. Right, okay, all sample from the student. Right, so this is for gases exchange. Sorry, for gases exchange. So we also give the guideline to the student, in assignment where the student need to impart the Islamic point of view or values. They need to give relevant, give one Quranic verse or hadith or fatwa with relevant elaboration, and this is the rubric. All right, so this is the sample from the assignment. All right, so quickly, so this is samples from exam question. Okay, this is from the workbook exercise. All right, this is our references. Our references. A natural science from the worldview of the Quran. So from the chief editor is Prof. Kamal. So we use volume 1 and volume 3. Okay, then I think that's all. And the editor from biology department also, Madam Nazira, as well as Dr. Nurjana. Yeah, thank you so much. So hopefully we can improve the Islamization of biology from time to time also. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Sister Haliza Hamzah, for the insightful sharing. Now we are going to move to the next presenter, which is Sister Mazlina Ghazali from Department of ICT to present her study on inculcating Islamic belief in Introduction to Programming Classes. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum. Wait a minute, I share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Where is it? Okay, I'm going to put in the slideshow. Okay. Subhanallah, I cannot see everybody, anyone here except my slideshow. So I believe that you can tell me about the time and so on. Okay. Can I start now?
Yes, sure, inshallah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Dean, the IOHK committee members, and dear colleagues. Okay, I am here to present the topic on inculcating Islamic belief in Introduction to Programming course. The outline of the presentation would be: first, introduction; second, studies on programming courses; third, understanding the nature of computer programming; fourth, Islamic belief in teaching programming; fifth, practical in inculcating Islamic belief; and the last one is conclusion. Let me start with the introduction. Okay, and I believe that all of you are aware of this spiritual hardship on the left. Okay, this is explained by Dr. Nurjana this morning. Okay, the aim of my paper, the aim of this is this presentation is to instill Islamic belief in life. Doesn't matter the student, and it also apply to the educator or the lecturers. Okay. We want to pursue knowledge with intention to seek the pleasure of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. We want to get closer to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, feeling of His presence with the sources of Quran and Sunnah. The results of this.
Actually, we can't see your slides.
You cannot see the slide?
Yes, just now it appeared, but currently we can't see your slides.
Should I share again?
Yeah, perhaps you can stop the sharing and reshare the slides.
Oh, stop the sharing. Allah. Where is stop the sharing? Can you see the slide?
Yeah, you can see slides.
See the slide? All right. So I'm going to go with the current slide, the one that I taught just now. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Alhamdulillah. Okay, thank you for telling me. All right. So let's go with the previous studies on programming courses. Actually, for beginners, Java, C, and Python are preferred as higher level languages, with C is considered to be the most popular language. In a study in United States of America, 56% of 2,000 undergrad math students do not demand the course. This leads for us to understand the problem where learning programming, okay, the learning process is slow and painful. Plus, mental perceptions developed by students limit their maximum achievable abilities. This is also taking care of the fear, which is similar to taking additional maths in SPM candidates for Malaysian students. Understanding the nature of computer programming. Okay, in CFS ICT 0525, the code for Introduction to Programming is offered to ICT, engineering, and physical science students. Of course, engineering and physical science students always they feel that why do they have to take this programming? It's not even maybe not related to their job at all. So basically, the student needs to understand when learning programming, to understand at least these four items. They must understand their requirements, what's the problem need to do, okay, what's the problem need to address, and then they have to know about the concept or coding and coding, and they have to know what happened in the memory, computer memory, and lastly, about what will be executed from the program, which is program output. Okay, understanding the nature of computer program, here I give a problem to go deeper on this. For example, to record data for 10 students that consists scores of the 3 quizzes and 2 exams. So the requirements could go to data. We need the data for storing 10 students with the 3 quizzes and 2 exams. So the concept and the coding would be go to the array concept. We have to use the array concept, which is in this method, it apply to 3-dimensional array. Okay, 3-dimensional array. Okay, in our class in CFS, the lecturers do not talk about 3-dimensional array. So the most is 2-dimensional array. But if they can really understand the concept, the 3-dimensional array, the 4-dimensional array, the 100-dimensional array, 1,000-dimensional array is no problem at all. So basically, they need to understand the concept really, really well and map to the coding. So they can code the concept in this case to store 10 times 3 times 2, which is equal to 60 scores altogether. In the computer memory, the student need to identify or to address or to refer this as a group of related memory slot. And they must picture the slot as a box. Like this is one way to picture as a box in length, width, and height. And the program output, lastly, the memory can store all the 60 scores. If they need a proof, they can print the data. Islamic belief in teaching programming. Okay, here I share some of the Islamic belief that we can instill. Okay, related to the question that student always ask. Okay, if they come up with the answer is it's difficult to learn programming, then as an educator, okay, as educators, we should inspire, we should motivate, we should give a vision, picture them, and we should come up with one mission. What is that one mission? Okay, relate to the Surah Az-Zariyat, chapter 51, verse 56. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That means our mission in this world is to serve Allah. So whatever we do, is for Allah. And we are going to Allah, and we will die, and we will go under the Jannah of Allah. And we should instill to the student, the more difficult, the more reward from Allah. Okay, so how can we give, as educators, give this kind of inspiration or motivation to the student? First of all, we must go with the Quran and the Sunnah and take a look at the nature of life. We should ponder on the whatever, okay, in this world, or the whatever creation by Allah, and then we should focus on the mindset, heart set, and body set. So heart set is the one that I pictured in earlier by Dr. Nadana. The mindset have to have the proper mindset where we should proper thinking, positive thinking, always look at things that everything is possible. And the body set, that means if the student is somehow very weak in the class and very hard to understand, maybe we should ask them to recheck about their heart, recheck about what they have in their mind, and recheck about their body. Maybe they always eat Maggie, then the body is down. That's why, okay, the mind and the heart is also down. It is not what Allah wants us to be. Allah wants us to have a very good shape, physical, strong body. Okay, the learning process, how? The learning process, it refers to the learning strategies which we can ask the student, okay, and we also have to do it. To read, not of reading. It's not only to read the textbook, not really read about the subject, but we should read whatever in the hadith, in the Quran, whatever that can make the mind stronger. The akhlaq, we should respect. We should tell them stories of how to respect the parents, how to respect the teachers, how to respect whatever in the here in the dunya, so that Allah will give them easy way, help them to understand, help them with a good life. Exercise, that means they have to do it again and again. 2 plus 2, when we are small, it's not easy to answer. But when we get older, 2 plus 2 is abruptly we can answer number 4, because it goes by practice or by exercise, and we have to repeat again and again. So as the topic, so the student must repeat doing the programming again and again, try to understand what happened in the 4 items or elements. And then we should encourage them to share, to give and take in team. And we should remind again and again, those who are good can teach others, for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala likes those who are beneficial to others.
So Mazlina, you have 1 more minute.
Allah. Okay, practical in inculcating Islamic belief in this case. So I can show you, okay? I can show you here. This is related to an array. And an array have the content, it has the address. Okay, the content and the address. They can code like this, or they can code using the loop. And one thing that we can tell the student is that the clever people who create this language is not clever. The cleverest is Allah SWT, and they always resemble what Allah has created in whatever their creation. Okay. So why do we have to use arrays? For example, it's typical, yeah, the output is the same. Let's say the question, a frequently asked question by the student, and the answer could be, let's them ponder, it is easier for the JNT to send packages with proper address. So if you look at here, there are proper address. But if we have a different slot here and there, that means it's not easy for the JNT to send the package. So another one is, if you look at the flow chart here, you have the start, you have the end. It doesn't matter how we go with the flow chart without the hand, without lifting our hand, okay, without lifting our pen. So we are going from the start, and at the end we have also choice, okay, and then at the end we will meet with the end of the flow chart. So the start and the end resemble the first and the last of one. So awareness in life is that we always have choices. We always have choices. Failure doesn't mean that we fail in the akhirat. All shape have meaning, all incident, all tests, whatever happening to us have meaning. So we have to instill the muraqabah. Honesty with Allah SWT is everywhere. Allah is the most knowledgeable, the most merciful, the most beneficent, and the most of all. Yes, all of us are capable to achieve the status of comprehensive excellence if we really play our role, whoever we are now, whoever we are in the future. So we have to start with the mindset, heart set, and the action set, body set solely for Allah. Surely He will reward us. And therefore, it is crucial for us to perform our duties as Muslim, mu'min, muttaqin, mujahid educators. Whatever discussed here is applicable to instill Islamic belief for other courses in larger context of the courses. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Jazakallah khair, Sister Mazlina Ghazali, for the compact but adequate presentation. Right now, we are going to watch some pre-recorded videos which include presentations from Sister Habibah Yusuf Elias Yusuf from the Physics Department, Sister Rosita Muslim from the Department of Biology, Sister Fatin Zahida Abu Hassan and Sister Nur Nabila Ahmad Azam from the AED Department, Sister Rohaya Ruslan from the ICT Department, Sister Siti Fatimah Putri Jemain from the Chemistry Department, and Brother Muhammad Zorif Fauri alias Fauzi, Sister Farahana Dahari, and Brother Muhammad Nur Fazli Basar from the AED and Economics Department. Please enjoy.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. So I would like to share with you on the implementation of IOHK in Physics 2. I'm Habibah Usop Elias Yusuf from Physics Department. Currently, I'm teaching Physics 2 or PHL 0225. So this is actually going to be first question that I'm going to ask my student in every single semester. What is actually physics? Okay, basically physics is about knowledge or arrangement of ilm, all right, in learning or dealing with the surrounding, the physical quantities surrounding us. Okay, so how to deal with it, how to treat, how to give an expression. Let's say this is so cold, this is so hot, the pressure here is high, the pressure here is low. So we have to put things in objective manner. That is actually physics. This is going to be second question that I'm going to ask my students. Why do you have to learn physics? So from these two ayah, Al-An'am, ayah 165 and Al-Ahzab, ayah 72, we can conclude that we as the Khalifa, okay, that receiving the amanah to manage the earth, okay, accordingly, properly, in a good manner. So we have to know, we have to learn what is all about the nature of the earth, the air, the mountain, the sea, okay, the nature of the living things, the non-living things, and how to deal with it. Like it or not, we have to know how to manage, because this is amanah as the Khalifa. Right, topics in Physics 2. We have altogether 12 topics, but actually we can put it in few fields. Okay, the first field is wave. We have 3 topics within field of wave. Then we have 3 topics as well in thermodynamic fields, okay, talking about gases. And next field is field of optics, where we have 4 topics or chapters within optics. And the last 2 topics or 2 fields, quantum physics and nuclear physics, basically the surface knowledge of it. So basically, I'm going to give a brief idea how I carry out, because we cannot have for each and particular content or topics that we are going to have Islamization of human knowledge. So normally I will go according to the field. So let's take a look on the first field, which is wave. We have a physical wave in general. We have a electromagnetic wave. right? Or we simply known as EM wave. So the physical waves such as wave on a string, wave on a spring, wave on the water wave, right? Need medium, but not the electromagnetic wave. Okay, so one of the ayah, okay, An-Nur, okay, verse 14, all right. Oh, their deeds are like layers of darkness in the vast deep sea, overwhelmed by a wave, above which there is another wave, above which there are clouds, layers of darkness, one above the other. When one puts forth his hand, he can hardly see it, and the one to whom Allah does not give the light can have no light at all. So what is this talking about? Okay, it's actually nowadays scientists get to know that this is talking about few layers of wave, okay, within sea, deep sea. Okay, we have surface wave, all right, as we can see on the surface of the ocean, okay, where we have low density water. Then we are going to have internal wave, right? And also high density water below. Then this is the darkness, the real darkness, all right? So the information of the layers of wave already informed by Allah Ta'ala 1,400 years ago, way before we can dive into the deep sea. So how great Allah is. Normally this is the way I'm going to highlight to my student. Right. Then another ayah will be, okay, then he directed himself to the heaven when it was smoke, and then said to it and to earth, come willingly or by force. They said, we do come willingly. This is Fusilat ayah 11. So the heaven said, okay, in this word, okay, implies that the heaven had a voice. So voice also sound wave, okay, a kind of wave. Sound wave need a medium, right? So need a medium. So means that the heaven, okay, have the voice that going to use medium, right, to emit its sound wave. And some Westerners, okay, Western scientists already claim that, okay, the sound of the heaven is actually the sound of the Big Bang, okay, where they claim it's already lasted for 380 years, okay. You can dig down on this information about the Big Bang theory. Right. Now we move to the field of gases. Right. One of the Muslim scholars, Al-Khazini, pointed out that air had weight, okay, and power to boost things like air, adding that the weight of the object in the air weighed less than its actual weight, and its condensed weight depends on the density of air. It is worth of that these studies paved the way for the invention of the barometer, okay, pressure measurement, okay, air vacuum and pumps, among others. So this is far earlier compared to the Westerners, where we have a buoyant, okay, buoyant force or concept introduced, okay, to the world from Westerners. Right? So you already pointed out this, right? Then talking about gases, again the same ayah just now, right? Initial gases mass before creation of galaxies. Okay, then he rose over towards the heaven when it was smoke and said to it and to the earth, come both of you willingly or unwillingly. They both said, we come willingly. Okay, Fusilat ayah 11. So scientists agree that before the galaxies in the universe were formed, celestial matters was initially in the form of gaseous matter. To describe initial celestial matter, the word smoke is more appropriate than gas. Actually, Al-Quran already state about the gas, okay, initial, before we as the scientists get to know from the Westerners. All right, so here is about optics, okay. the father of optics, Ibn al-Haytham, or also known as Al-Hazin in the Westerners, they was so proud of about the finding of the Al-Haytham or Al-Hazim, okay, where this is the first inventor in camera, right? This is a Muslim scientist who taught Europe science, okay, and this is author of 200 published books, right? So you may refer to this how the Westerners so appreciate Al-Hazin or Ibn al-Haytham, right? So they give name father of optics to Ibn al-Haytham. So this is basically on how Ibn al-Haytham come up with how the invention of the camera, right? When it is present, okay, in the present. Then this is one of the page of the books written by the Ibn al-Haytham. This is actually the nerve and the position of the eyeball, right? And then here we have the nerve again, and specifically on how, okay, where is the cornea, where is the iris, okay, how the nerve, where is the position of the nerve, the main nerve, how the eyes differentiate colors, how the eyes can have object to be seen or give a meaning. Is it a round, is it a ball, is it a masjid, let's say, right? Then next one is about quantum physics. Okay, I normally give this website to my students. This is slightly about metaphysics, okay, higher level physics when it comes to all theories, okay, but basically the content of it, a physical real world does not exist until there is a conscious observer observing it. So this against all odds from the scientists saying that the universe, okay, creates, okay, by accidentally by itself, okay. So this is where we come Tawheed, okay, that Allah is the one first exists, then He create the universe. So quantum mechanics is modern rendering of medieval Islamic scientific discourse on the nature of reality, talking about some metaphysics, okay. Then Tawheed, what does that mean? There is no reality except divine reality, okay, the reality coming from Ilahi, from Allah, right? And then the absolute consciousness creates and sustains the reality, okay. So the one that having all the absolute things, the Almighty Allah Ta'ala. And quantum mechanics and general relativity represent two levels of existence, okay. It's actually relative to divine's reality. Again, okay, what Allah wanted to be reality is going to be a reality, okay. Then He is the first, al-awwalu, and the last, wal-akhiru, and the apparent, wal-zahiru, and hidden, wal-batin. And He who knows all the things, okay. Quran, okay, again, it's saying that this is about Tawheed, okay. Allah is the only one, right? And the first and the last, okay, awal wal akhir, what does that mean? This is actually saying about time dimension, okay. This is talking about time dimension. And when we talk about the apparent and the hidden, this is actually the space dimension. Some scientists, they say we have fourth dimension, X, Y, Z, 3D, and then time dimension. But some scientists claim we have up to 7 dimension, all right? So the one that own all these dimension, the space dimension, is actually Allah Ta'ala Azza wa Jalla. Okay, so means that space, time, matter, okay, is unreal, okay, all of them are unreal, okay, relative to the divine reality, okay. So kind of slightly off our thinking, our common thinking. This is actually a metaphysics, right? So last but not least, in nuclear physics, we also can highlight this to students to create assignment, okay, in learning science, okay, where arrangement of 114 surah of Al-Quran with all the numbers of the ayah, okay, having the same polarity arrangement, okay, with the spectrum of lights. This is very interesting. So normally a student will have a, oh, like that, okay, assignment, create assignment, right? And then also the Quran facts, okay, where we have, we made the sky, the meaning of this ayah, Surah Al-Anbiya, ayah 32, we made the sky a protective ceiling, okay, and yet they are turning away from our science, right? So actually the ozone layers are the protective shielding for us that created by Allah Ta'ala. Okay, if we don't have the shielding, then we're going to receive a leather ray from the sun that might kill all of us. Okay, no living things should take place on the earth. How great Allah, how Ar-Rahman Allah Ta'ala is, how Ar-Rahim He is, okay, that creates such protection for us, okay, the beloved makhluk, okay. So all the time in my lecture, I will always highlight to the student, you have to zikr to Allah Ta'ala with a fikr. Okay, you have to think about it. It's not only on your mouth. It should be coming from your mind as well as your heart or soul. Okay, then it comes, okay, the shukur, the tafakkur. Right, that's all for me. Thank you very much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. I'm Ada Rosita from Biology Department. In this video, I will share how we implement IOK in biology. I will only focus in biology 1. To explain about IOK in biology 1, I divide to 6 sections. Number 1 is theory from the PowerPoint. Number 2 from the student module. Number 3 practical from the PowerPoint and lab reports. Number 4 from the assignment. Number 5 workbook for biology 1. And number 6 test and end of semester examination. Number 1, theory from the PowerPoint. We have 12 chapters. I only take from chapter 1, origin of life. One of the learning outcome is outline the differences between the Islamic and secular concept of knowledge and science. We hope that at the end of this chapter, students able to apply the science knowledge that they gain in their daily life and make them close to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala as their creator. And in the PowerPoint also, we explain about biology, which is study of life created by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and explain the knowledge in the Islamic and secular perspective, and also about the Islamic science. About the student notes modules, we also put IOK. Example here, in the 1.3 conditions of early earth, we relate with the surah in Al-Quran about the conditions of the early earth. And then in the practicals, we also put IOK. Before that, we explain to students how to write the scientific objective. Example here, to in the cells to differentiate plant cells and animal cells. And the Tawhid objective example is to explore the creations of different types of cell by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Here we also give student guidelines to start the Tawhidi objective and the scientific objective. For example, to appreciate, ponder, which is suitable to the situation. This is in practical lab report. Student must write the scientific objective and also the Tawhidi objective in the space provided, and also in the conclusion they must write the scientific and also Tawhidi conclusion in the space provided in the lab report. And then this slide shows Tauhidi objective written by student in their report. So we have 5 experiments. Student able to write the Tauhidi objective in each experiment. And this is the scientific and Tauhidi conclusion from the student report also. And about the assignments under chapter 6 cell cycle, in the instruction, if you look at the 1D instruction for the student, we write here must impart Islamic point of views and values, maximum 3 Quranic verses with the relevant elaborations. And in the report rubrics, we also ask students to put Islamic of knowledge, Islamizations of knowledge in their discussion relate to the Islamic point of view. This is the rubric for the teachers to check the assignments on chapter 6. So teachers can give 1 mark if student give 1 Quranic verse, 2 mark for the 2 Quranic verses, and maximum 3 mark for the 3 Quranic verses. This slide shows an example from the student assignment on science cycle. If you look here, student relate Surah Al-Hujurat with Surah Al-Hujurat verse 13 with meiosis, and also another one is from Surah 65 12 with the cell cycle. In the workbook biology 1, the IOK question also we ask student. Example here from chapter 5 enzyme and kinetics, the STEM question from the Quran 25:2, but we ask about the functions of the enzymes created by Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. And another example is from chapter 10 DNA and protein synthesis. We mentioned about the Surah As-Sajdah verse 7. We asked about the characteristics of the bread mold that was used in Biddle and Tatum experiment. So student must answer in the scientific form. And then after that we go to the last, which is under test and yours questions BLL 0415 taken from semester 1 2019-2020, come from IOK question, come from chapter 2 chemical foundation of life. So from question 1D, we take from the Surah Al-Rum 27 and we create a question to state 1 functions of molecule Y. So student must answer in the scientific form. That's all about the sharings in biology 1. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatin Zaidah binti Abu Hassan. Now I will be representing my department, AED's FSIUM, to present on the implementation of IOHK in AED 0644, Introduction to Built Environment, or we call it SIBE. So this is the course outline. Okay, basically this course highlight 3 major themes. The first one is environmental management. Okay, the student would be introduced to the fundamental concept and understanding towards natural environment, built environment, environmental design components, environmental management, sustainability, and the roles of Khalifah on Earth. The second theme will be on the professions. They would learn the job scope, the roles, and also Islamic practices within the profession. Number 3 is on the construction material. So basically now we have all these 4 CLOs in our CO, basically covering all 3 main themes that will be later assessed through EOS, assignments, and also projects. Okay, so you can see the first 3 topics cover the first environmental theme. Alright, they will be introduced to the concept of Khalifah, SDG, sustainability, and then environmental management. The 4th until the 11th topic will be on the profession, the job scope, the roles, and Islamic practices, and lastly on construction materials. Okay, these are some of the references that we are referring to for this course. Okay, the Western and also Islamic books for the Islamic inputs. Okay, so throughout the lecture notes, okay, especially for the first and second theme, okay, the environmental management and profession, we highlighted on the role of Khalifah, the concept of stewardness. Okay, the concept of stewardness that Allah has given us the resources, the natural environment. So it's our job and role to make sure that everything works efficiently. Okay, that everything being put in justice and balance to make sure that we are not compromising the future generations' need. Okay, so also we are emphasizing on the Tawhidic approach in environment, whereby we need to observe the relationship, the three relationship, Allah with man, man with Allah, man with fellow human, and also man with environment. So we shouldn't do any injustice towards not only human but also to the environment, right? So we should not spoil, injure the environment. We should aiming for very minimum intervention or impact towards the natural environment, and then always to condemn those who spoil the earth, especially not only other people but us as an individual, professional, or Khalifah on earth. All right. So we are also introducing the environmental ethics, okay, in Islam, amanah, tauhid, ayat, mizan, and khalifah, okay, in managing the natural environment. Okay, inside our professions, lecture notes also we are promoting. Okay, we are promoting the Islamic practices within the profession. We also include Al-Quran, ayah, and also hadith from the Prophet Muhammad SAW as the guidelines. Okay. So these are the assessment that we have currently in our course. Okay, assignment 1, they would learn, which is covering the first theme, environmental management. Okay, the student needs to study how does actually the human activities impacted or affecting the natural environment. Later on will be the consequences will be faced by the human and other creatures, right? So the second is on the article summary. They would go through the articles and then to jot down the important points on how should a Khalifah manage, design and develop any construction on earth, right? And then number 4 is on the appreciation of construction materials, which are actually also Allah's creation, the timber, the stone and all. And then the project is actually doing the site analysis, site inventory analysis and synthesis. They have to go to the site and study about the site, so to make sure that they are carrying a sustainable development and construction there to minimize the impact and intervention towards the natural environment, as well as not only to the environment but also to the end users. Okay, so these are some examination question that we have. So we currently giving them ayah so that they would define and interpret using their own words and understanding. And then we'll also ask them to give Islamic guidelines, Islamic principles in designing and developing any construction or project, right? So I think that the challenge that we are currently facing here in our department is actually because of the different background we have now. Some are from the architecture department, some from QS, and some from urban planning. So that's why there are differences in the things that we have delivered to students, especially on Islamic inputs. So that's why I'm suggesting that the department could hold any sharing session before the class, okay, among the lecturers to make sure that everyone is actually delivering, conveying the same input to the students. Alright, so as a conclusion, okay, AED is actually a fundamental course for AED student because it gives the first impression to what Islamic environment is to the students. And then IOHK plays important role in balancing up the worldly knowledge and also reveal knowledge in the real practices in the field of built environment. And then as the course prioritizes Islamic values throughout the knowledge and practices, knowledge from the Western shouldn't be just 100% totally being rejected, but rather to be screened, filtered and tailored to whatever that we are doing now, as long as it does not contradict with the Islamic philosophy, principles and values. Right? With that, I thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My topic is integration of Islamic values in basic applications of ICT course. Outline of this presentation. First, introduction. Second, correction on students' mindset to have a right intention or niyyah in learning the course. Third, integration of Islamic values in the following topics. A, the internet and the web, content evaluation. B, communications and networks. C, data analysis with Python. And fourth, conclusions, my hope towards all my students. Introduction. Basic applications of ICT is the core course within CFS curriculum. As you can see on the right side of the slide, there are 8 topics to be covered in one semester. This course is mandatory to all students CFS, Sciences and Arts programs. Students must pass the course. After teaching for some years in CFS, I would like to share some of my experience with students at the beginning of the course. Some students, they are scared or dislike technology. They feel computer and technology is very difficult because of family background or comes from different school and exposure to a computer is very minimal. Second outline, correction on students' mindset. A, to have a right intention or niyyah in learning the course. From hadith, innamal a'malu bin niyat. Actions are judged by niyyah. Because if niyyah for the sake of Allah, insyaAllah will get not only the knowledge, but as well as rewards from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. B, I always remind my students to have an open mind, enthusiastic, and looking forward to be in either face-to-face or online class. Because when people get together to learn knowledge, as if they are in the gardens of paradise. C, do not feel the course is difficult. You can bear with it. I always ask my student to refer Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 286. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah does not charge a soul except with that within its capacity. Third outline, integration of Islamic values in the following topics. A, content evaluation. Not all information that users receive, such as via WhatsApp message, Facebook, Telegram, and so forth, are accurate. Users should wisely select real-world information or content which should be based on the 4 criteria stated here. Usually, I relate this topic with Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 6. The kalimah fatabayanu means investigate. Whatever content that users receive should be verified first rather than directly believe and forward to other users. B, communications and networks. This topic discusses on how devices are connected to each other, how data information can be transferred from one location to another location, either via wire or wireless. Furthermore, common topics of networks such as LAN, MAN, and WAN are also discussed. Here, I integrate Islamic value or practice to students that our communication with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is through our daily salah or prayer and doa. In fact, salah is the second of the 5 pillars of Islam. C, data analysis with Python. Have to use coding in creating a project in Python. Students need concentration and focus. Student cannot miss even one character, otherwise program get error. So Islamic value here, focus when perform our obligations in Islam, especially in Salah, otherwise may forget the raka'ah that we are performing. Conclusions. My hope towards all my students. The course is not only to pass the exam, but to be beneficial throughout their studies and life. Because computer is used everywhere and they must know at least a basic topic in the area. Always appreciate all the knowledge that they learn, although it is not directly related to their field of study. Try to learn a lot of things, not limit oneself to one area. Rasulullah SAW is all-rounder. Be insan sejahtera, full of adab, balance in iman, physical, emotional, and intellectual. Because the ultimate success is to success in dunya and akhirah. Alhamdulillah and thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will be presenting on Islamization of AED 0633, which is a core subject in AED department, Introduction to Economics for Built Environment. The team members consist of myself, Muhammad Zorif bin Fauzi, Sister Farahana binti Dahari, and Brother Muhammad Nur Fazli bin Basar, a representative from the Economics department. Looking at the course outline, the top course outline is the previous course outline where the Islamic content is included under the first learning outcome, which is recognize the general principle of the Islamic economic system. And looking at this learning outcome, this is a very specific learning outcome referring to only one topic. And after revision, so we decided to expand this Islamic content in more topics. So by explaining the basic economic concept and issues from Islamic economics point of view, so we can integrate this Islamic teaching in a lot of other topics. For instance, the previous course learning outcome, only the Islamic content is only under topic number 2, which is the types of economic system. After revision, so we can integrate more of Islamic and economics under more than half of the topics. So now there are 5 topics where we include this Islamic viewpoint. For instance, topic number 4, we talk about the household behavior and consumer choice. We included Al-Shatibi needs classification, where it classifies people, they want these necessities, the daruriyat, where we want basic stuff such as foods and shelter. And number 2, it is classified under anything that brings comfort, the hajiyat, where if we consume this kind of thing, we can be more productive, we can be more efficient. And last but not least is luxury goods, services, where Islamic teaching, they don't really prohibits us from consuming luxuries, but then Islam promotes moderation in consumption and avoidance of israf, which is wasteful expenditure. Comparing this with the economics, the conventional economic concept, it is stated that human wants, it is unlimited. This is the conventional economics. And this does not really meet well with the limited resources that any country, any geographical area has. But then if we were to apply this Islamic teaching, inshallah, the issue of economics, the issue of management, it can be tackled. Another instance is topic number 7, money and banking, where we look into the distinctive features of Islamic approach to finance, where it should be banned, interest should be banned, interest and riba, as well as avoidance of anything that is uncertainty and anything that is uncertain, gharar and indeterminacy, as well as enhancing consumer protection. Now, this is assessment that relates with Islamization of human knowledge. Last time is, as mentioned before, learning outcome number 1, where it includes end of semester examination and presentation. Now, the revise only includes end of semester examination, and therefore we can focus more on asking students a question in the final exam, and more question can be asked, and this proves it can be more effective in terms of students studying and focusing more on this Islamic relationship in economics. This is an example of assessment that relates with Islamic Islamization of human knowledge, and this is it is worth to note that Islamic content is only been asked in final exam. So an example is characteristics of zakat. This is topic under economic system as well as public finance, and the content that we just saw just now, such as the topic 4 and topic 7, can also be asked in the final examination. So the issues that we are facing currently is the limited reference of Islamic economics book that we can refer to. One that we are referring now is written by Zubair Hassan, Economics with Islamic Orientation. But then we need more books to get more information, to get more references. And secondly, the terms is very critical. We want to simplify the word to an understandable information, because understanding the words, the Islamic wording itself is already challenging. Now, to relate that with economics, it's another level of understanding. Therefore, we want more reference. We want to find more books that we can read to understand better. And the way forward here is that we need to discuss more and prepare more before any semester starts. And one of it is by inviting Islamic expert in, for example, we can start off a workshop for this Islamic expert to explain to us about this particular Islamic principle or Islamic concept before we relate that with the economy. So Islamic expert not need to be someone who is from outside. We can maybe invite lecturers, ustazah from the IRK department, inshallah. In conclusion, Islamization of human knowledge is important in balancing the worldly knowledge as well as the knowledge of Allah, so that we can practice what has been done by Prophet Muhammad during the days where when he does this business, as well as the companion, and it serves as a correct foundation and understanding in students from the beginning, going back to basic. With that being said, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Alhamdulillah, and thank you and Jazakallah khair to all presenters presented in the video just now. Now let's move to our next live presentation by Sister Fatiyatun Nur Idris from the IRK department to present a study on Islamization and relevantization in Understanding Islam 2 course assessment. Please welcome.
Thank you very much, Brother Zakwan. So inshallah, I'll be sharing the screen right now. But I cannot, okay. May I share the screen, Brother Zakwan, because the host has been
Yes, sure. Hold on. Have you started sharing your slide?
Okay, wait. Okay. Can you see my slide now?
Yes. Alhamdulillah. Yes.
I hope everyone can see my slides now. Okay. Alhamdulillah. So inshallah, before means of Islamic rival knowledge. So inshallah, in this session, I'll be sharing the practices of the departments of Islamic rival knowledge. So inshallah, we will focus on our course assessment for the subjects of RKF 0423, Understanding Islam 2. So as an introduction, this subject, yes, the names of the subject is Understanding Islam 2, and this is the center required course, which is all students will take this course to pass SCFS. And as a note says, the course, which is Understanding Islam 2, really wanted to emphasize the universality of Islam, which is not only as a religion, but serve as a complete system. Because sometimes when we talk about Islam, people only confine the word of Islam to be happenings in masjid only. But actually the Islam is not only a religion, but is a way of our life. It's a complete system. And the words and the correct words that is referring to Islam Islam. It is a complete way. So it discusses the principle that manage our education. We also expose ideologies, and there are certain deviant ideologies, there are certain deviant belief system that are available nowadays, and we wanted to expose the students with all of these things in order for us to be tolerated with all of these things. But tolerance here does not mean that we accept the deviant teachings and whatnot, but it is that we accept that we are different, but we do not condone or we do not agree to their deviant teaching or deviant ideologies and whatnot. And then, as I have mentioned earlier, our targeted group is all students of CFS. And then we can say that the Islamizations of human knowledge in terms of our department is actually do not really Islamization because of the fact that we are already the Islamizations can happen in the context of relevantization as mentioned IAM policies. And we focusing the Islamizations and relevantizations here focus on two in-class assessment. Our course is this in-class assessment is the assignment. So for this assignment, the Islamization, or we can say the relevantization, includes reintegration, restoration, and revival of Islamic approaches and solution into contemporary issues. Or in other words, we can say that from this assignment, we wanted the students to be able to refer or to return to the sources, the original sources of Islam, which is the Quran and Hadith. So they are reintegrating the contemporary knowledge with the Islamic knowledge. So for the assignment, the students are required, first, they must search and choose any relevant article on any contemporary issue related to family and society. So it can be incest, runaway children, baby dumping, divorce, domestic violence, anything which is related to family and society. So after they have chosen the relevant article, they must identify the causes and effects of the problems. So what are the causes that make a person to be involving in incest, for example, and what are the effects, and so on and so forth. So that's the second. And then the third would be, after they have done searching for the causes and effects, they need to find or search for solutions from existing Islamic legacies, which is our Quran and Sunnah. And apart from that, the solutions may be available from our ijma ulama and so on and so forth. So they need to search for the solutions of the contemporary problem. And after they have found the solutions, they must produce an infographic presenting or portraying the cause and effects of the contemporary issues. And apart from creating an infographic, they must think from Islamic point of view, or which is the solutions lah. Okay, so this is they can just choose any article, and in this case, they are focusing on mental health issue nowadays, as you can observe now. Then this is the examples of the infographic, so the causes, the effects, and so on and so forth. And this is the sample of their brief writing, which is they instill or they infuse Islamic perspective of how we can help to solve, not entirely to solve the problems, but maybe to reduce the tendency of that things to be happening. Okay, so Islamization, in this case, relevantization, happen where we can say it happens by students knows how to integrate the Islamic solutions with our contemporaries. They must refer to Al-Quran and Hadith of Rasulullah SAW. Apart from that, the Muslim scholars and so on and so forth. And the second things that they can use to relevantize, to make it relevant would be they must refer to the Quran and Sunnah as the ultimate guidance. So when it comes to relevantization, we can say that Islam will always relevant per time, per place, and per context. So it will not be outdated lah. Okay, so that is for relevantizations of human knowledge in the context of our group assignment. And another practice that we do for this semester would be the group presentation or duo presentation. So this duo presentation, how do we implement Islamizations of human knowledge, is by refuting, rejecting, and objecting all aspects of human knowledge which are deviated from Islamic Aqidah. Because in our courses, we teach them the deviant beliefs, deviant ideologies, and also deviant teaching. So by doing the assignment, by doing the presentation, they are able to refute and reject the deviated systems and whatnot. Okay, so in the presentation, the students are required to present any deviant teachings. For example, Taslim, Ayapin, anti-hadith movement, Haji Kahar, you name it. And after they have chose one of the group or one of the deviant teachings, they must identify and discuss the characteristics that make the deviant group or that making the teachings to be deviated or to be considered as a heresy. Why they are deviated from the true teachings of Islam. And after they have identified and discussed the characteristics of the deviant teaching, and then they must also identify and relate the deviant teaching with one of the relevant deviant ideologies. So they must relate the characteristics of deviant teaching with either religious pluralism or religious liberalism. So they are able to relate why is it this deviant teachings to be deviated, whether it is emphasizing on equality of religions or whether they are excessively using their thinking and rejecting the revelation. And these are the samples of slides that that our students did, which is they do the live presentations in class. So they are able to identify the characteristics that make the groups to be deviated, and then they're also able to relate the deviant teachings with the deviant ideologies. And in this case, they are focusing on Tuhan Harun. And Tuhan Harun, basically, he used his own interpretations of the revelation, and he did not basically go thoroughly to the tafsir of Quran, to the hadith, understanding on his own interpretations of the Quran and hadith. Okay, so the Islamizations of human knowledge here can be seen or can be portrayed by making the student to know, and they not only know, but they can differentiate or distinguish between the true teachings of Islam and the deviated ones. And the second importance would be the students are aware. They can be aware and cautious of any elements related to religious liberalism and pluralism. Because when it comes to the ideologies, it's very hard for us to the deviant teaching without proper understandings of the things lah. And the third thing would be the necessity. It's very important, yes, for the students and for us also as educators to always refer to our divine sources, Quran and Hadith, but not all or not everything as mentioned in the Quran and Hadith. So because of that, we must also refer to the ijma' ulama, the consensus of our Muslim scholars, and then we have the qiyas, analogical reasonings, and we have also other secondary sources that we can use. Subject, understanding Islam too is already Islamic because of it is Islam. The department's view Islamization and relevantization aspects, and in this case, we imbued the concept with in our assessment presentation, also assignment. And as a whole, we can say that what we or the outcome that we wanted to have would be students will be able to understand of life, which is reflecting the universality of Islam. And then the second outcome would be any issues or any contemporary issues, any contemporary problems should be addressed in the context of Maqasid Sharia, where Maqasid Sharia is the objective of our Sharia, which is our objective of Sharia is to secure the public interest and to facilitate improvement in our life, and not to make it as a burden to all of us. And last but not least, Islam is a religion of rahmatan lil alamin, meaning mercy to all mankind. It is not only mankind, but rahmatan lil alamin here referring to any inhabitants in this world. Rahmatan lil alamin, alam, universe. So it is not only human being, but it also mercy to animals, plants, and so on and so forth. So this is our team. I think that's it from us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Ada masalah sikit dekat Sina sekejap
Boleh nampak saya ke, madam?
Boleh.
Boleh teruskan je. Ridwan. Boleh teruskan je.
So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you see my screen in full?
Yes.
So today I'll be presenting some sharing of practice from our Department of Legal Studies. My name is Muhammad Ridwan bin Saleh. I'll be representing the Department of Legal Studies. So the title of my presentation today would be IOHK Implementation in Law and Society LSC 016464 course. Okay. So first, before we begin, let us look into the course first. Basically, this course actually provides students with an introductory knowledge of different theories of law, society, and economy. And this course also briefly introduces various legal concepts and their relation to the society. So for this course, we at the Department of Legal Studies identified that we try to imbue the element of IOHK by two ways, by way of integration and making comparison. Integration means we add on the Western principle, Western theories, and comparison is when we compare the existing theories, the existing values that we have learned in the Western legal system and with the Islamic legal system. So basically, this course is quite a generic course where it involves not a specific field of law, not specific area of law, but rather we try to relate the law in the various theories, various concepts, and various things in our life. Okay, so let's move on. Now, how we actually want to introduce IOHK in law and society? First, by way of integrative and comparative. Integrative part, we try to integrate the Islamic theories together with the Western theories. And at the same time, we also request students to compare the Islamic theories together with the Western theories. In a way, students need to examine the theories so that they can know why the Westerners think like this, why Islam have different approach, and why the Islamic theories are way better than Western theories, and so on. So that's why we try to integrate and compare. And similarly, we do the same thing with the legal concept. The legal concept where we ask students to compare the Islamic legal concept together with the Western concept, so that the student can know, oh, these are the features of the Islamic legal concept, these are the features of Islamic legal theories, and therefore by identifying this, they can appreciate the values better, and they can appreciate their knowledge, and of course they can relate to IOHK, hopefully. Now, let us look into some of the IOHK in action in this course. I'm going to show to you some of the content in this course. Firstly, we have the first topic, which is the basic theories of the law. Basic theories of law, if you learn elsewhere, basically we discuss about jurisprudence. We talk about the concept of natural law, positive law, American realist, and Islamic law. We try to integrate Islamic law in line with the other theories of law. And at the same time, we also try, we want students to be able to compare or to make a comparative study between the two or more than two theories of law. So basically, what is natural law? Natural law is the theory of law. This is actually some kind of jurisprudence. Natural law refers to the concept of natural justice, where the law is what is commanded by the Almighty. Positive law refers to law is actually as a command from the superior or to the inferior, to those in power, to those who don't have power. American realists have the view that what does it mean by law? Law is actually whatever imposed by the court, whatever said by the judge. So that is actually the approach or the theory on belief by the American realists. So they want to see the law in action. And lastly, we have Islamic law, which is rather unique if you want to compare with other set of theories, because Islamic law can be divided into two. It can be divided into muamalat and as well as ibadat. And as we all know, Islamic law is more comprehensive than positive law, American realist, and so on, because it does not only cover trade activity or relationship between man and man, but it also governs the relationship between man and Almighty, as well as man and the environment. So this is what we try to emphasize in the first topic, which is basic theories of law. Now let's move on. Then we have the second topic, basic theories of law, basic theories of society. Again, we try to integrate as well as we try to let the student compare so that they will understand why the Westerners have different approach and why Islam have the different approach, so that they can appreciate and so that they can identify the values in the Muslim society. So under this topic of basic theories of society, we introduce students with the various model of society. Among others, we have the consensus model of society, where the theory believe that why we live in one community, one society, because we want to agree on one common good. One common good is for all. And conflict model of society, on the other hand, why people live in a community, why people live in a society, because they want to resolve the same problem or they have the same conflict they want to resolve, and that's why they are together. And plural society is just like what we have here in Malaysia. We are built from various ethnic groups, and at the end of the day, we all live with different belief, with different culture and so on, but at the end of the day, we all live on the same land. And lastly, we try to imbue the concept of Islamic society, which is the Ummah. Okay, the Ummah, which means Muslim stays as one. The nation of Muslim is one. And what is the bonding part of the Muslim Ummah is the faith itself, the Iman. So that this is the IOHK part that we try to imbue in this topic on basic theories of society. Next, we have law and morality. This is in topic week 5. Okay, topic week 5 taught in week 6. We try to explain to the students the concept of morality. In simple words, what does it mean by morality? Morality refers to the belief of what is good and what is bad. So basically, what is good and what is bad, it depends. Okay, what is good and what is bad is it depends. So, for example, according to the Westerners, the concept of good and bad depends on the society. The society themselves decide what is good, what is bad. For example, LGBT movement. Okay, we have always heard that the Western people, they always fight for the LGBT right and so on. Because why? Because some of the people believe that that is the right thing to do. But on the other hand, morality in Islam is not defined by what is the desire of the human being. Rather, it is the what we call that, morality in Islam is defined by Allah, what Allah wants. So that is basically what is the main difference when we talk about the concept of morality in the Western perspective and morality in Islam. So basically, we try to emphasize on the students why people in the West have different set of thinking, because they believe in certain set of morality. And on the other hand, why do we believe in a different set of belief or different set of morality? Because basically our morality is shaped by the religion itself. So this is what we try to emphasize in this topic. And another important topic that we try to explain to students in the short discussion during class is the relationship between law and justice. What would be the relationship between law and justice, and how actually these two elements okay.
Sorry to interrupt, you have 1 minute more.
Okay, so basically law and justice, it is related, but nevertheless, like similarly to the morality, justice in Islam is defined by Allah. The concept of justice, according to Westerners, they might believe in equality, but justice in Islam, we believe in equity. Okay. And lastly, we have the topic of international relation, where in this topic we emphasize.
Sorry to interrupt, you have 1 minute more.
Okay, noted.
Okay.
We have the concept of human right, where when we discuss the concept of human right, we try to introduce students to the Western types of human right and the human rights in Islam by introducing the two important instruments when dealing with human right, which is UN Human Right Declaration, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as well as the Cairo Declaration of Human Rights. So before I conclude, I just want to say, to share with the members the way forward that we at the Department of Legal Studies try to adopt and adapt. First, we want to enhance the application of IOHK by integrating more Islamic principles in the existing course, because we are now offering six courses, and this is only one of the courses. And we also want to revitalize IOHK in the content and assessment. Maybe we have looked into several other departments that try to imbue the IOHK element in the assessment as well. Maybe we can try to learn from them. And lastly, I think it is important for us to educate and promote IOHK to the academic staff so that it can become our culture and teaching as well as research. So I think that will be all from me. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Ridwan, for the presentation. We will now proceed with our last live presentation. That is welcome Sister Nurul Emilia Diana binti Abdul Malik from the Department of Human Sciences. The floor is now yours. Thank you.
Okay, can you guys see the slides?
Yes, we can see the slide.
All right. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nurul Emilia Diana binti Abdul Malik. The slides doesn't move. Okay. I am Nurul Emilia Diana binti Abdul Malik from Human Sciences Department. And this evening particularly, I would like to share on how the Department of Human Sciences practice Islamization of human knowledge. And before I go further, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to share with you a video that would reflect the whole process of Islamization of human knowledge, please. Can you all hear the audio side? Or you can only watch the...
Yes, we can hear the audio. You may proceed.
Down syndrome is a genetic disorder having some degree of developmental delays. These delays can range in severity from mild to moderate. Some of underlying areas that are affected in development are poor muscle tone, which is affecting strength and endurance, broad short hands with relatively short fingers, which decreases coordination for both gross motor and fine motor activities, and also they tend to have decreased sensory processing, which impacts successful participation in all environments. On 9 April 2019, we visit PDK Tun Sri Teruntung, located at Jalan Mat Kilo Kuantan, to meet these special children, beside to carry out our mini project under topic Down Syndrome Self-Management. This community center was found by the parent of current advisor, Madam Nur Ashikin binti Alias, and her brother Shahrir, one of the students in PDK Tun Sri Teruntung. Apakah jenis latihan yang mereka ada?
Macam kita macam tu toilet training, lepas tu kemahiran diri dia macam mandi, makan. Kat sini kita ajarlah makan dengan seru, makan dengan tangan. Cara nak mula nak makan, kena basuh tangan. Macam tu belajar satu-satu lah. Satu persatu. Dia tak boleh, dalam sebenarnya dia tak boleh terima banyak arahan. Satu masa satu arahan.
As we observe the children in PDK, we believe that the teachers use scaffolding as approach learning to the students. The teachers let the students do their work on their own, but with supervision, and they assist them from time to time. Ifa Atia binti Abdullah Termizi, 7 years old, was born as Down syndrome. Next to her is her mother, Raja Shamshina binti Hashim, 48 years old and currently working as a teacher.
Bagaimanakah Puan motivasikan anak Puan untuk menguruskan diri mereka?
Okey, saya akan motivasikan anak saya dengan cara kami akan buat bersama-sama. Contohnya dalam satu aktiviti itu kalau time berus gigi, ibu pegang satu berus dan saya akan pegang satu berus saya dan saya akan bersama-sama menggosok gigi. Dia gosok gigi, saya gunakan dia untuk gosok gigi dan saya akan gosok gigi itu untuk cara depan dia. Dan itulah saya budayakan setiap hari, pagi dan malam supaya dia akan terbiasa melakukannya.
Islam teaches us in the sight of Allah Almighty, all people are equal, but they are not necessarily identical. Every human has their rights to get attention, to be loved, and to be treated equally as human beings. Down syndrome is not a birth defect. Down syndrome is not infectious disease. It's not contagious. It's not like a cold. It's just one part of them. They're just like you.
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير.
Joining us now is
Sorry. Okay, we are back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum. So the video that we watched just now is basically a product made by students who are taking basic communication from under Human Sciences Department. And the whole program is basically guided by Surah Al-Anbiya verse 73, which means we human beings were made as caliph, and therefore we are bound to do good things, we are bound to pay zakat, and we are bound to be nice and good with other human beings. The whole orang cakap this particular Surah Al-Anbiya verse 73 guided the whole program, and Al-Hujurat 13 mentioned men and women were created in diversity for one to know one another. These two verses basically highlighted and made the students come up with the idea of conducting and organizing a CSR program, corporate social responsibility program at state level, representing students who are taking basic communications, collaborating Human Sciences Department as well as the Welfare Department from Negeri Pahang. And then this program basically is a good program because it enabled the students to gain their first-hand experience in organizing a program, in communicating ethically with the states, managerial staff of the Pahang states, as well as they as human beings manage to mingle with themselves with the unfortunate students, particularly the Down syndrome, particularly, where many of the students never had such experience to deal with the Down syndrome in their daily life. So the idea of Islamizing human knowledge, particularly in basic communication, specifically under public relations topic, has managed to assist the student to come up with such program. Sorry, and then the CSR program, which were organized at the state level. The program itself managed to let the students to experience not only Islamizing human knowledge from them with the Down syndrome, it also strengthened the principle of Islamizing human knowledge itself, which are Hablum minan nas and Hablum minallah. By organizing this program, the students somehow managed to have or to create their consciousness towards what they have for being born as normal and being grateful to be born as normal human being. All right. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, as a conclusion for this particular sharing, okay, the video that I shared is basically a product made by social sciences students taking basic communications. It shows that the idea of I'm sorry, I'm nervous. The idea of Islamizing human knowledge will benefit students not only on practical perspective, but it will also let them practice the principle in their real life. Okay. And as a conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope that the academics and the managerial team from CFS, we could collaborate in organizing more programs in the future that will enhance the effectiveness of Islamizing human knowledge, especially for humanities students. All right. I am Emilia Diana Binti Abdul Malik from Human Sciences Department. Thank you.
Right, thank you and Jazakallah khair, Sister Nurul Emilia Diana Binti Abdul Malik, for the fruitful presentation. Now we will have our last pre-recorded video presentation by Sister Sayakti Ngadimun and Sister Nur Alfiza Yusnaini Yusuf from Department of Economics and Management Sciences.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day everyone. We from Departments of Economic and Management Sciences will present on Islamizations of human knowledge in Departments of Economics and Management Sciences on the topics of current practices and the way forward. For today, we're going to have two presenters. The first presenter will be me, Nur Alfiza Ishrani with Yusuf, on the current practices. The second presenter will present on the way forward, Sister C. Sayati binti Ngadimun. These will be the structures of the presentation for today. We're going to have three sessions. The first session, session A, will be on introduction to Departments of Economic and Management Sciences. Session B, we're going to discuss on the current practices. There will be two parts will be discussed. The first part will be on IOHK in Business Studies, EMS 0264. Part 2 will be on IOHK in Economics, EMS 0224. And session C will be presented by Sister C on the way forward for our department. For the first session, session A, introduction to Departments of Economics and Management Sciences. Okay, so basically in our departments, we have 5 units: business, economic, accounting, mathematics, and statistics. So for now, officially, unit business and economic has stated the Islamization aspect in the course syllabus and plus in the teaching and learning. However, for the remaining units, they're still implementing Islamizations on their own initiative without officially put in their course syllabus. Next, we're going to move to session B on the current practices. Okay, on the first part, IOHK in Business Studies, EMS 0264. So basically over here, we look at the course outline. Business Studies, EMS 0264. This one is affected batch will be intake 2020 onwards. So on the course synopsis, some Islamic aspect of business management are discussed in this course. So this one is reflected in week 3 for chapter 4, understanding the management process. So after we taught them with conventional management, we're going to move to a very specific subtopic, which is management from Islamic perspective. Okay, over here they're going to learn on the Islamic teachings on implementations in terms of management. Okay, so this will be the extract from the student modules. So basically, they learned on Islamic management where it focused on 4 main principles, which are ihsan, ibadah, cautious in management, and strive in the best manner. So one of the words being quoted for this specific content will be on the Surah An-Nahl, verse 90. And then we move to the characteristic of Islamic manager. So this would be differ from the conventional characteristic of a manager in an organization, whereby we took some characteristic from our Prophet ﷺ and the best teachings that we had in Islamic teaching. Okay. And then on the part 2, IOHK Economics, EMS 0224. So for the course outline, Economics, course code is EMS 0224. The affected batch will be intake 2020 and onwards. However, on the course synopsis, we focus on the basic concepts in macroeconomic, whereby it is reflected in week 3 for the third chapter, which is production possibilities, opportunity cost, economic growth, and economic systems, whereby there is a specific topics on Islamic economic system being taught to the students. Okay, so we look at the extract from the student module. We have several contents that we taught to the students. So these are several of it: Islamic economic systems, objective of Islamic economics, and then the decision making and ownership of resources. There are several and quite numbers of verses from Al-Quran being quoted in order to make sure that the Islamizations of this specific topic can be realized to the students.
Thank you, Sister Alfiza. Assalamualaikum. I am Sister Sayati, and I will present section C, which is the way forward. Consists of action plan, recommendation, challenges, and conclusion. So currently in the department, we have 3 remaining units that do not have IOHK content embedded in the course. However, some teachers in the department already implement IOHK elements during teaching and learning practice. So moving forward, our action plan is to add the content in the course outline whenever required and to have a proper written documentation on IOHK. So here I'm sharing with you some practice that could be mirrored by teachers. For accounting subject, teachers can show example of fraudulent case to the students without upholding Islamic value of amanah, Accountant can easily manipulate financial report despite abiding by all accounting standards, rules, and regulations. Teachers can have reflection together with students on Surah Al-Baqarah verses 282, the longest ayah in Quran, talking about recording that transaction. From the verse, we can learn that Muslim accountant not only accountable to the user of financial statement, but most importantly to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This content can be included during introduction or topic accounting for receivable. For mathematics subjects, teacher can introduce students to great Muslim scholars like Al-Khwarizmi and his discovery of algebra in search of easier approach to calculate faraid, as explained in his famous book Al-Jabr wal-Muqabalah. Here, Islamic value of patience and perseverance in seeking knowledge can be implied. This content can also be added during introduction part. Last but not least, the value of benefit others can be implemented in statistics, specifically during group project. In the group project, students are required to identify an issue for them to investigate. So here, teacher can emphasize the importance of analyzing data for meaningful purpose. How finding from the data that they interpret, that they analyze, can benefit others since it is instrumental in terms of problem solving and decision making. For all these three subjects, since it is technical in nature and the content has no apparent link to the core of Islamic teaching, that's why our focus here is inculcating Islamic values among students. With respect to the curriculum structure, it is highly recommended if we can get direction from management on which necessity level of IHK should we work on. We also found that some department has common topic or subtopics. For example, we have Islamic economic system in economics department. It also have been taught in understanding Islam too. Economic subject also there in AED curriculum. Students learn Islamic values as a single content in IRK subject, in Ibadah camp, and in Usrah. And some teachers integrate it and inculcate Islamic value in their respective course. So here, we humbly believe that a thorough discussion between our proficient scholar in IRK department with the field experts in respective department alongside with most unit can produce the best structure of IHK in the center. But we also realize that our recommendations comes with challenges, issues like different school of opinion on the concept of IOHK itself, the readiness of staff since it requires high commitment and changes in policy can slow down the process. But it's a waste of time if we just wait until everything is concluded. So we can still play our part, our basic part, which is the Islamization of oneself. We can continuously keep reminding ourselves and our students that knowledge is an amanah from Allah and should be utilized as a khalifah. As long as our intention is right, as long as we have a right intention and we did not disobey any command from Allah, inshallah, every single thing will be counted as ibadah. So with that, I end our sharing with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Right, brothers and sisters, we have now reached at the end of the colloquium on Islamization of human knowledge today. Hopefully we will gain barakah for commemorating and participating in these gatherings of knowledge and be able to put into practice the lessons from this event, inshallah. Let us end our session today with the recitation of Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-Anfal. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.